Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to be covering the basics of Unreal Engine 5.5. I'm going to be covering interface overview. To begin with, you're going to download Epic Games. Once you have Epic Games, head over to the library button under the Unreal Engine tab. This is where you can launch the engine that's installed. If you don't have an engine installed, just go ahead and click the add icon and then you can select the version that you want. I recommend going with the latest one just because all the bugs will be patched in this. Once you hit launch, the project browser window appears. Now this will allow you to either launch any of your old projects or create a new one. On the left side, you have different types of categories that you can create a project in. This will enable the plugins at the background and also allow you to save some time by not enabling plugins manually. I'm going to be going with film, video, and live events under the blank template. On the left side, you can select where the project is stored. On the right side, you can name your project. I'm going to be naming this project my first project. After you name your project, make sure that starter content is enabled. This will allow you to use the content provided by Epic Games in your first project. The first launch can take a while, so just be patient with it. Once Unreal Engine launches, you will be greeted with this window. I'm going to be defaulting my view to Unreal Engine 4.4. I recommend the same because that docks the content browser, which helps in navigation. Let's go to Window, Load Layout, UE4 Classic Layout. You can also load the default layout whenever you want. Once you are in this layout, on the left side is your Place Actors menu. On the top is your toolbar. On the right side, you have your outliner, followed by your details panel. And at the bottom, you have your content browser. The center window that you're looking at is your viewport. On the left side, you can select what perspective you're looking from. Top, bottom, left, right, and perspective. Next to it is your lit, unlit, and other lighting options. So you can go here, make it unlit, so it uses less power, just in case you want to place a lot of foliage. I'm going to go back to lit. Next to lit, you have the show button. This allows you to turn on different types of visual aids when you are using your 3D application. On the right side, you have your movement controls, rotation controls, scale controls, as well as origin controls. Next to them is your snapping menu for rotate, transform, and scale. Next to it is your camera speed button. Next to it is your viewport organizer. This allows you to minimize a viewport, have different scenes, and go back to the main viewport. On the right, you have your outliners panel. Anything that is in your scene, in your 3D viewport, can also be selected from the outliner, like such. Below that is your details panel. This allows you to change properties of the selected item. For example, if I have my floor selected, I can scale my floor. This allows me to scale it. You can also scale this uniformly or non-uniformly. If this is unlocked, it will scale it non-uniformly. If this is locked, it will scale it uniformly. At the bottom, there's your content browser. Treat this as the desktop for Unreal Engine. This allows you to create new folders as well as keep things organized. This is also the home for any new material or any new assets that you will create, import, or bring into Unreal Engine. The Place Actors menu allows you to place different types of things such as lights, shapes, and more. You can also resize windows by moving your mouse next to any of the edges and dragging them. You can move in Unreal Engine by two different ways. The first way being, you can hold right click, look around, use WASD to move around, Q and E to go up or down. This movement is very common with people who are used to gaming. The other movement that you can do is holding your left click, right click together in order to move, holding your left click and moving your mouse to move around, and holding your right click to look around. In order to select anything in your scene, just left click on it. You can also see the gizmo that appears. This allows you to move the object in red axis, green axis, and blue axis, also known as the X, Y, and Z. In order to scale the object, you can select the object and press R on the keyboard. This will bring up the scale gizmo. And if you want to rotate the object, press E on the keyboard, and this will bring up the rotate gizmo. To go back to the move gizmo, press W on the keyboard. This will bring back the move gizmo. You can also move any object in more than one axis. Just move your cursor closer to the gizmo, and then you can move the object in two axes without going on the third axis. This applies to all three directions. You can also move the object in all directions by taking your mouse on the white dot in the center of the gizmo. In order to add basic geometry to your screen, you can either use the Place Actors panel on the left side or use the Quick button over here. I'm going to be using the Quick button, going to Shapes and adding a few shapes in my scene. I have some basic objects in my scene right now. in order to duplicate them by holding down your Alt key or Option key on a Mac and then clicking and dragging it on the axis that you want to duplicate it on. You can also do this while rotating. So if you select the object, press rotate, hold down Alt and then rotate, that will duplicate the object. This is a really easy way of creating multiple instances of any object. You can also import assets straight from Megascan into Unreal Engine using the Fab button. Just go ahead and click the Fab button. You can filter the assets by Quixel. Head over to Creators. Now anything that you search in this window is filtered by Quixel. Go ahead and look for 3D models. Once you have a 3D model that you want to import, just click on it. You can select the quality of the 3D model over here. I recommend if you're using it for closer to camera, use raw or high quality. If you're placing it mid-ground or away from the camera, use medium or low quality. I'm going to go with high quality. Add to project. Once you add any type of asset from Fab to your project, it will automatically be placed in content folder under Fab, under Megascans, under the type of the asset, for example, 3D, surfaces, decals, etc. Under the 3D tag, there will be the name for the object that you downloaded and the quality for the object if you're using multiple qualities. In order to bring your object into your scene, just look at the static mesh, drag and drop that mesh into your scene. Depending on the mesh and depending on the shaders that it has, it may take a little while for it to calculate. This may also vary from machine to machine. You can also move this object as well as scale it, and it will maintain the texture and the proportions. However, there's a limit to how much you can scale before the texture becomes too blurry. You can also bring in different textures from Fab using the Fab button. Selecting the texture that you want, selecting the quality that you would want, add to project. Like before, this is saved in content, Fab, Megascans, surfaces, and the type of the texture that I've downloaded with the quality. I can pretty much go ahead and drag and drop this texture on any object that I want to apply it to. I can also control the tiling by double clicking the instance, going into global, selecting the tiling option, and then either tiling it more or less. However, one thing to keep in mind is that each instance holds its value. For example, if I have one instance of this material and it's applied to more than one object, it will change the tiling on more than one object. In order to avoid that, you can create a new instance and apply a different instance onto a different object and not impact everything else in the scene. You can also have different types of lights in Unreal Engine. In order to add the lights, just head over to the Place Actors menu, go into Lights, select the light that you want to bring in, drag and drop it, and that way you have a light in your scene. You can control different properties of the light in the right side panel over here, including intensity, color, and attenuation radius. I'll be making another video showcasing all types of lights in Unreal Engine. Coming back to interface, you can also move and scale windows and place them as you like and save it to a layout. For example, I like to have my Fab window on the right side over here. I'm going to click the Fab icon, bring the window up, select it, and then reposition it next to my details panel. This allows me to have quick access to Fab whenever I want. One of the other things that I like to do is have two content browsers open at the same time. I'll go to Window, Content Browser 2, and snap that next to my content browser. You can also have more than one viewport. In order to have more than one viewport, just go to Window, Viewports, and select second viewport. This can be snapped either next to your original viewport or anywhere else in Unreal Engine. Once you have a layout that you prefer, you can go ahead to Window, Save Layout, and Save Layout As. This will allow you to save your layout, and every time you launch Unreal Engine, it will open that layout. I'm going to go ahead and load into my layout. Just to explain my layout, I have my Place Actors menu over here, one viewport, two content browsers, one sequencer, one level browser, one environment light mixer, details panel, world settings, and output log, just in case I want to put any commands into my output log. The next thing that you would be using the most is your selection menu. Over here, you can switch modes from selection mode to landscape, to foliage, and other modes, and you can come back to selection mode in order to select and move objects. I'll go over the landscape mode in my next video. I hope you liked this quick video. See you in the next one.